Hi guys, so we've got a bit of a different style of video today, just trying stuff out. Just going to be doing, you know, some commentary over, so you can see, you know, what it's actually like, and I can talk you through some stuff. But so this is little Pepper. She's never had a groom before, professional groom before. So she's in just for a bath, nails, trim up the ears, maybe a nail clip, and just to get used to the process really. But we'll see how she gets on. Obviously, like I said, she's never been groomed before, so see how we get on, won't we? Hey? But you seem pretty good. Yeah. Ready? Good girl. Get right in this beard, because she's a slobberer. Not a fan of the car, so good girl. What a good girl. Good girl, Pepper. So just wetting the head, and then I'm going to give her a little blueberry facial, which is tear free, so you haven't got to worry about it getting in the eyes. Obviously you don't want to go scrubbing it in the eyes, but you haven't got to worry about it so much, which is nice. Good girl. I find a lot of them quite like it, to be honest, a little scrub around the face. I know, it's getting this beard. Good girl. Let's go this way, you're going to strangle yourself. Good girl. Good girl. What do you think? It's not so bad, is it? So this is first wash, which is just basically to start lathering it up and getting the main bit of dirt off. Obviously getting in every single part. Normally start at the head, work your way down, because it's just easier to keep a track of basically where you've gone then. And then I use a Luther, or whatever you want to call it really, just to help lather up the soap. I find it's a bit easier than just using your hands. It just tends to, you know, pop up the soap a bit more, but get right into it, innit, eh? What a good girl. You're doing so good for your first time. What a good girl. And I'd like to get right in between these toes and these pads, because that's often where all the mud sits. And quite often they get little mats too. What a good girl. Good girl. You turn. Yes, good girl. And your bum. Good girl. So at the moment I am using Hound shampoo. So this is Yup You Stink by the company Hound. We are in, well, I'm in the UK. So I don't know if they ship over to, you know, America and stuff, but I find they're brilliant shampoos, because they've got the conditioner built in as well, so you haven't got to worry about doing two lots of your, obviously, shampoo, and then condition. So I find it's perfect. But there's a couple others I use. I do have Peanut and Pickle again, which is a UK brand, and I've got some Animology stuff, so Hair Off the Dog Anti-Tangle and puppy shampoo for, you know, sort of little 8, 9, 10 week old puppies if they come in. But well, normally not till 12 weeks, to be honest, after they've had their injections. But you're doing so good. Good girl. What a good girl. I know. Good girl. Right in that beard. So Mum just wanted to get her booked in. Basically, what I recommend as a puppy is for them to come in before they're 6 months old. They should have come in at least as many times as possible, really, just to get them used to the process. But I normally say at least sort of 3 times, even if it's just, I call it a puppy intro, so they just have the nails clipped, bath, maybe a little ear clean and a brush out, just to get them used to the process really, and a little play, just so they're, you know, not terrified when they come as an adult. But in the older dogs, if I get people that come like this one's 10 months old, little Pepper, up, and good girl. and she's obviously never been groomed before, so we're just taking it steady. I'm not going to do any sort of full grooming yet because, like I said, you want to put them into the process quite slowly really, so they don't get terrified. But I mean, she's doing brilliant, aren't you? What a good girl. Good girl. Can you turn? I know. And your bum. Good girl. There we go. Up. Good girl. What a good girl. Scoot back so you're not strangling yourself. Good girl. So on to the second wash. You really do want to be washing the dogs twice, because if the coat is not squeaky clean, then it takes 10 times longer to dry. The coat still looks oily after it's obviously been bathed, and it's just, you want the dog being as clean as possible for the owners as well. You know, they're paying the money. You want the dog to go back squeaky clean, don't we? Eh? Good girl. You shut your eyes. You go to sleep. A good girl. Another place I'm sure to get is right under the ear, because that is often, you know, the dog sweats out the armpits, pads, ears, chin. So really you want to make sure you're getting all those high stinky areas. What a good girl. Doing that way, you stood at an awkward angle. Good girl. What a good girl. I know. You're doing so good. I don't know how you're going to get on with the dryer, but good girl. Up. Good girl. Hi now. Get right in these toes. Good girl. Up. Good girl. Good girl. You turn. Turn. Good girl. Beautiful. Good girl. She has got a few little tangles just in the pads that we'll have to clip out after. Good girl. So when you're rinsing the dog, good girl, you want to work from the head down, because if you start working from the back legs up the body again, when you rinse all the shampoo off, it's just going to go straight back over the stuff you've just washed out. And it just also makes sure that you're not missing any shampoo, because the last thing you want to do when you're washing a dog is to leave any shampoo in the coat, because it'll make it look oily. Again, it won't dry very quick. It's just not giving the finish you want. Good girl. Good girl. Make sure to get all the shampoo out from between the toes, because that'll definitely cause irritation. Good girl, you're gorgeous. You stand up. Good girl. Good girl. Good girl. One thing I will say, any new groomers out there starting out, One thing to invest in is a electric bath. I know, up, up, up. Good girl. Because that's one thing I regret as a groomer. I've got a static bath, so it's got steps for the dogs to get in, but obviously it doesn't lift, so she's quite small, but she's too big to go on the step up. Up, up, up. Good girl. So it's quite an awkward angle, you're leaning over and backache, and so that's one thing I would say is invest in good equipment at the start. Don't be put off by the price tag. Obviously it is expensive, but if it's going to last long term, absolutely go for it. So at the table, I've got an electric table, and definitely wish I would have gone for the electric bath as well. One of the areas you want to make sure the soap's definitely out of is just right up in the tuck up. The soap normally sits there and right under the chest in between the legs as well. It's normally harder to get the soap out, so just triple checking the coat as you're going over. Working your way down to the back legs. Good girl. I know. What a good girl. Up, up, up. Last little bit. Good girl. So then you just want to go back over the coat, checking under the chest. I normally do it checking the nails. You can normally see if there's any soap left. But I think we're good. She looks like she's shedding a bit. Her hair coming off of her. Let's sort that out, eh? You've done so good. What do you think? So I just squeeze any of the excess water out. Not hard, just, you know, squeezing it out. Good girl. What a good girl. And then I've got a, well, it's called different names. I call it just an Aquasorb towel, which just works like a car chamois. So it just squeezes, what a good girl, you are gorgeous. Just squeezes any of the excess water out. It saves you getting, because if you're rubbing them with a towel, then, you know, you go for about 3 towels, 4 towels per dog if you want to get them, you know, a bit more dry. But that's one thing you do want to do is, before getting the dryer out, you do want to make sure to get as much as the excess water out. You don't really want a dog to be dripping, because it's going to take so long to, you know, get them dry with the dryer then. Especially working your way, you know, over the feet. That's often the area where the water sits. This face real dry. Well, I think you're just going to dribble all in your beard again, aren't you? Hey? What a good girl. His ears. Good girl. What a good girl. I'm just going to spritz her with some Banish spray. So this is a demating spray, but it also helps just to keep the coat in good condition. I spritz it on, to be honest, quite a lot of the dogs I groom. I find it doesn't leave a residue, and it just makes it so much easier to sort after the bath. What a good girl. Making sure to rub it in. Good girl. She has got some tiny little tangles as well, so this is going to help to sort those out. What a good girl. I know. All these different sounds and smells, isn't it, eh? What a good girl. You get it in your ears? Good girl. What a good girl. Smells lovely as well. Can you turn? Turn, turn, turn. Oh, we're not getting out yet. Turn, get back down there. Good girl. There we go. You stay. Wait. Good girl. Good weight. So I'm going to put the Happy Hood on her. Good girl. This just covers up her ears. It's more for dogs that are a bit more nervous, but also if you're going to be drying them a long time, I know. If you're going to be drying them a long time, I recommend to put it on, obviously, especially because I'm in such a small space. It's only 8 foot by 8 foot, the pod that I'm in, and obviously noises are even louder then, so you want to protect their hearing. But if it's only going to be a quick dry, then it's not so bad, but good girl. So this just helps block out the noise of the dryer, I know, which I hopefully mean, like a seal, which I hopefully mean that she'll let me dry her. So just tucking the ears down, looks like so. Good girl, I know. Ears are so long. Where are they to? Lost your ear. What a good girl. Oh, I know. Where the hell is your ear? There it is. So much hair on your head. Good girl. There we are. You look cute. She says, what the hell are you doing to me? What a good girl. So she's not done too badly. One thing I always say is that first dry, you do want to stick with it a little bit, because quite often at the start they think they're being murdered, think it's the end of the world, and then once they realise that it's not actually so bad, it's, you know, they get used to it. But just going to spritz a little bit more spray on her because she is a little bit matted, more matted than I thought around her neck. A lot of it is undercoat, so it is going to come out with a good old brush out after the bath and dry. And I am going to pop her on into the table, and that'll just allow me to get her dried a bit quicker and a bit more comfortably for me as well. So So as she's not a fan of the dry around her head, I am just gonna give it another towel dry. Good girl. I know. I know. Come this way, let me put that right there. Good girl. And then I am gonna try her with the stand dryer. That's just a less powerful dryer that I normally have going as I'm drying the dog. I normally put that one on as well. For a dog's first groom with me, I don't do that just because a lot of them find it a bit weird for the first time. So we'll just try with a stand dryer. But I've already said to Mum, you know, we'll see how she goes. We don't want to stress her out too much on her first go. So we're going to leave it there for the drying. She's still a little bit damp in areas, but for her first time she's done so good. You turn this way. Good girl. We're going to give her a little brush out now. She has got some tangles in places, so we're going to try and thin those out, just sort of where her harness and her collar sits. So when you're slicker brushing, I'm going to randomly brush on her just bits that I can get. I know, good girl. But you want to start normally from the, well, I start from the bottom foot, work my way up over the dog, down to the front foot, and then the head. Just so you don't miss any areas. I know, what am I doing, eh? Good girl. Parents said that she is used to brushing. They say once you've pinned her down, she does accept the brushing. She's not a massive fan, but what dog is, to be honest with you? Even my dog only just accepts it. He glares at me the whole time. What a good girl. So she is a double doodle, which obviously means that the coat is a mix of everything. So you've got Labrador, Golden Retriever, and Poodle. I know. And you get, with obviously the mixed breeds, you get such a different variety of coat through the whole you know, every single Double Doodle you come across. So she's got she's got like the undercoat from the Retriever and the Labrador in her coat, but she's also got that fluffiness from the Poodle. So as you can imagine, it's quite difficult to maintain, which is why she's got these little knots. Ideally, a dog like this should be coming in, I'd say every 8 to 12 weeks, just for a good bath, brush out, especially if, you know, owners are struggling with matting or whatever, but you sort of see how they go. What a good girl. I know. What I am going to do is just put this table divider up to stop her going to the other side of the table, so I don't have to keep dragging her back. Good girl. I know. Gonna be a bit weird, isn't it, eh? What a good girl. So this is good, mostly for my back, but also it definitely helps some dogs feel a little bit more secure on the table, because obviously it's such a big table and it's open at the front. This just gives them something to lean on and makes them feel a little bit more secure. Can you shuffle forward so you don't fall off the end? I know, shuffle forward. There you go. My dog personally, he's been on grooming tables, as you can imagine, for the whole of his life, but he still finds it so much better with this table divider. This was only, I think, 40 something pounds from groomers online. But and it's perfect, you know. So owners don't want much, well, any off the body at all, so we're just giving a good brush out. I am going to trim up the pads, the nails. I know. You can stay there though, you can't go diving off. I think I am going to switch her just to my smaller one of these, because it's a little bit less likely to come off. We don't want her jumping off the table. What a good girl. There we go. Good girl. Good girl. So this is what's called a slicker brush. You stay there. Good girl. And it's just got some pins on it. And this is what we used for the line brushing. So when you're line brushing or layer brushing, you want to work up from the bottom of the body. And that's why I put my hand there, because I'm holding some of the hair up and pulling the hair down as I go. And then you want to recheck that with your metal comb, the fine tooth pins. It's also got obviously the wider ones if it's slightly matted, but you don't want to go tugging at mats with a comb. So as you can see, this is all nicely brushed out now. Once we get around the top, she has got some mats that I am going to have to thin out. We're going to shave her feet. Again, she's not had this done before, so we'll see how she gets on. I know. You ready? We don't want to start digging in. She's not got too hairy feet, to be honest. Don't want to start digging into the pads, but just taking off that excess hair. I know, good girl. And then also, I know, stop shoving that. You're going to strangle yourself. Stop doing that. I might have to, I'm just going to put the belly strap on her because she's going to keep trying to strangle herself. I know. And that's just going to stop her reversing so much. A little bit safer for her. It's obviously still got a space underneath. I can fit my hand in there. And it's nice and comfortable because it's got the foam pad. Let's do these nails. I know. Good girl. Just taking the very tips, because they're not too bad at the back. You'll find dogs' nails are often shorter at the back. Dogs push off with their back feet, so they quite often keep their own nails quite short now. Good girl. I'm going to check in between her toes for mats. I know, what a good girl. Yes, she's got some in there, so just going to get some scissors very carefully. I don't suggest doing this at home at all. I know, especially with a wriggly dog. I might have to go in. Stop doing that. I might have to go in with a 10 blade just because it's a bit safer. We'll see how she gets on. Stay. Good girl. Good girl. Obviously being very careful as to where the skin is. Yeah, I'm going to go in with a 10 blade because that's going to be a little bit difficult otherwise, because it's so tight. I know. Stop doing that. You're going to strangle yourself, my friend. We don't want that. Pull her back this way, and that's going to make her stand a little bit better. Obviously, dogs' first time, they are going to be a bit fidgety, to be honest. Some dogs are always fidgety, but you just want to work with them to make it as safe as possible for them, really. Good girl. I know. She's obviously been used to being able to pull out of stuff when she's at home, so we just want to make sure she knows that she can't get out here. It's not happening. going to go in with the 30 blade. Stop doing that. I know, you can't keep doing that, my friend. She can't get out of there really if she pulls, but she's going to loosen it every time that she pulls, so I just want to make sure she's safe. Let's go in with a 30 and get these nasty mats out. There we go. Whoa, 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 whoa. No, no, no. No, no, no. Pepper. Pepper. Stop doing that. There we go. We got there in the end, eh? What a good girl. There you go. Pepper. Good girl. Good girl. Make sure there's no more mats in the pads, because that's one of the main places where dogs mat. Good girl. Especially these doodle breeds, because they get so hairy feet in the get such hairy feet. Good girl. There you go. What a good girl. You got it. Back in with the nail clippers. Doesn't look very comfortable hanging off the end of the table there, love. Good girl. Good girl. So just the tips on hers. Normally with the bigger dogs they tend to wear down the nails a bit better, so they normally just need the tips off. What a good girl. Right, let's have a little look. Good girl. There you go. A couple little knots in here, so I'm just going to grab my little thinners. Go up, obviously being very careful as to where the skin is, and just thinning up under the hair, which just loosens it up and makes it easier to brush out. Good girl. Normally I don't demat, because these are only sort of small little mats. Then you know, it's not so bad. If she was thrashing around and really hating it, then I would clip them out, and it should look a bit funny, but at the end of the day the dog's welfare comes first, doesn't it, eh? Yeah, you, talking to you. What about you? Good girl. So owners wanted the armpits clipped out, which I do anyway. We'll have a little look, see what they're looking like. They do feel quite matted, not horrific, but good girl. So just going up, being very careful, because obviously you've got the folds in the armpits. What a good girl. Look at you. Good girl. Don't want to go yanking it out, but just releasing it. Good girl. Take that right out now. There we go. Good girl. See those little tangly mats? You look for so much better, eh? Good girl. Good girl. So we're coming up to the bits that are a bit more matted now. Good girl. See what happens, see if they come out easily or not. You don't want to go digging into the skin with a slicker brush, because you can cause slicker rash. It's more just, you know, sometimes it looks harder than it is, but I'm just sort of going up rather than digging into the skin. Good girl. Again, just going to thin out some bits in here. I might have to go in with the clippers and some bits because it is quite tight. Good girl. So this is just the high friction areas where the harness is sitting. You'll find this on a lot of dogs if you're not brushing after they've got the harnesses on or coats on, or if they've just been spayed and they've got one of those surgical suits on. You want to make sure you're brushing them basically every time they have it on, because the friction will cause the coat to rub against the skin and against the coat, and that causes the matting, which obviously you don't want, because then your dog could potentially be shaved, which we don't want and you don't want, and the dog probably doesn't. Well, it won't definitely matter, but the dog probably doesn't really want to be shaved either, so best to keep on top of the brushing at home. Good girl. Turn you round. Good girl. Beautiful. So getting up in the hygiene area now. So this is on a 10. Good girl, I know. Because she's super hairy under here. Obviously where she's not been groomed, normally we keep this shorter. I know, good girl. I know. She's obviously not used to this, I know. Shh. Good girl. There we are. Good girl. Good girl. Right up round her little floof. It's quite matted round there. Again, being super careful. I'm going to come in from the other angle. Good girl, I know. There you go. A good girl. It's got to feel better. Good girl. Let's check this foot. Good girl. Now the other one. What a good girl. Got the little mats in here. I know. So again, you don't want to be digging the mats out, you just sort of slowly work your way in. I know. Good girl. I'll get them out. I know, I know. Good girl. I know, I know. Don't let me get it out. I know. Let me come in here. Look. Sometimes they're a bit wriggly. So much easier to come in under the tail. You just hold them there, just keeps them a bit more secure, makes you feel a bit more safe. Good girl. Look at that, that's got to feel better. Good girl. That was good, see? You're getting it. Check your nails. Good girl. So personally, I don't use a Dremel. I have thought about it, but I find a lot of dogs are terrified of it. Good girl. And it's so much quicker to do this, and also for the groomer's health, to be honest. I mean, I always wear a mask anyway when I groom, but I just don't like what comes off of the nails when you Dremel it. It's so much easier and, you know, healthier to not use one. Saying that, I mean, if you want to use one, use one. Doesn't, you know, it's your call. But personally I don't, so good girl. What a clever girl. Be interesting to see, good girl, how her coat changes over time, because she's looking like she's got that poodle fading gene in her, which is where they start off black or they start off brown or any of these colours, and they change and fade into, so the blacks normally go into greys, and then I've got a brown Labradoodle that well, she was brown and now she's grey, but so yeah, it'd be interesting to see how she changes, but that poodle fading gene is crazy. Good girl. You're doing so good. What a good girl. I know, you're so cute. Good girl. Tell she's settling into it now, and that's the good thing. And one of the things I love about grooming your dogs is that you can see when they come in and they're nervous and they don't trust you, and then by the end of the groom it's so nice to see how they've changed and they think, oh, actually you're not so bad and it's not so bad, and they learn to trust you, which is, I love it. That's why I love my job. Isn't that right? Yeah. You're a good girl. Good girl. A few little knottly bits. Good girl. Good girl. Just gonna trim up round her bum. She says, what? Let me shuffle this forward. Get off me comb. Good girl. I know. You want to say hi? Right, wait there. I am going to put the belt on her for this bit just because I don't want her to sit as I'm doing it, and it is going to be a very weird sensation for her having not been groomed before. Good girl. You ready? What a good girl. So just lightly going over. She has got a tangle there. There we go. Making sure we get all the tangles out. Going up a little bit higher than I would have to normally just because she is a bit tangled. But nothing too bad. What a good girl you were then. Didn't even flinch, eh? I'm going to have to go down a little bit more because there's a very thick mat there. A little bit of a bare bum going on, eh? What a good girl. Like I said, the owners like a natural look. So we're not going to trim, I'm not going to trim up any of the feet or the legs at all. Obviously next time if they come in and they say, look, we want it a little bit tidier, then we'll go with it. But for now, just a good brush out. Good girl, I know. What a good girl. Good girl. Right, let's take this one off. Did just close the blinds because her parents are due back soon. So apologies if the light has gone darker, but if her parents come back and she sees them, she is gonna go mental. So it's easier just to block them out. What a good girl. Can you sit? Good girl. I've got to get your armpits, but we'll do that in a minute. Good girl. Good girl. So, just gonna get this armpit. What a good girl. Ready? Good girl. I know. Good girl. Stay, stay, stay. Good girl. Last little bit. There you go. This one. So, I know. Put you there. It's the bit you didn't like last time, wasn't it? Stay. On the other side. Stay. You're going to feel so much better. No. Stay there. You're going to choke yourself. Stay. Good girl. You got it. Yes. Good girl. Good girl. Stay still. Right, we got it. Excuse me. Shove it forward. You can sit there if you want. There you go. Good girl. Doesn't that feel better? Good girl. So a lot of these little tiny mats are coming out just with a quick brush over, which is perfect. You've done so good, my friend. What a good girl. Look, a puffy more. Puffy now, eh? Oh, puffy. Let's have a look at these ears. Mum does want ears trimmed up a little bit, but she does suffer with ear infections, and also the ears dripping all the food in the water. They are particularly long. Good girl. I'm going to shave out the inside. I know, turn this way. It's going to feel funny. You sit. Good girl. Stay. Good girl. I know. Good girl. Stay there. Oh, you're a fiddly bum. Being very careful with the ear flap. Anything I do with the ears, I always make sure I know where the ear flap is, where it begins, because you do not want to be cutting that. Good girl. Look at these long ears, eh? So make sure to fill with the ear flap end so it ends there. And I'm just gonna come round and scissor them around like that. Good girl. Tidy them up. Oh, it's a big shake. Same on the other side. You've got so much hair on your head, eh? I know, good girl. Again, through where the flap is. This ear is actually shorter than the other, so they must have been chopping it in and what's growing funny. Good girl. Not the actual ear, of course, the hair. Good girl. Perfect. Let's have a look at this head then. We're going to have to shove it forward a bit, eh? Good girl. There we are. Few little knottly bits. Good girl. I know. I'm not holding on tight when I hold her face like this, it's just to keep it in a semi-sane position. So that if I go in with the scissors or the brush, I don't want to be brushing any part, you know, like her eye if she moves, anything like that. I know. Good girl. As you can see, she's basically dried out now as well, so that's perfect. Just a little bit damp under her, but I am actually going to shave that out anyway, because she's got so much hair under here, it's unnecessary. Good girl. Just lets those ears breathe a little bit more, especially if they've suffered with, you know, ear infections in the past. I know, good girl. Get in there. I know. Right, check this face. I'm sure it's got some knots in it. Good girl. I know. Be very careful when you're going in with the thinners on the face, which is why we hold the face like this. Not hard. Just so they can't, you know, go shoving their face back, and last thing you want to do is catch a dog in the eye, or if they open their mouth and you cut their tongue, it's just not worth the hassle. You just don't, any way you can prevent that, obviously the better. I know, you've got some little knots in there, we'll get them out. I know, shh, 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 shh. Good girl. Lightly trim up the face, so you can see those gorgeous eyes. What a good girl. Good girl. She's super good though, because a lot of times first appointment for a dog, for them to let you hold their beard to do their eyes and to actually trim around their eyes, I mean, you're super good. You're a superstar. Yeah. Make sure we got all this under here. Good girl. There we go. What do you think? Pop her a little bandana on because it's her first groom. But she has been so good for her first groom. She's one of the best behaved dogs I've ever had in for the first grooms, isn't it? Pop that one there. Give her a little spritz of perfume. All natural perfume, although it's actually not working very much. There we go. And she is all ready to go. Isn't that right? 2 seconds, this little bit here. What a good girl. Beautiful. What do you think? She's good girlie. Yeah, you've been so good. I know. What a good girl.